Start multiplying matrices. So the first box we have here, it's matrix multiplication. So you want to fill that in the first box. So the two matrices we want to multiply is this one and this one. What is the first step before we can actually multiply matrices? What do we need to check for? I don't know the final answer. So the first thing we need to check for is the dimensions of each. So this first one, what do we have? And the second one, 2 by 2. So after we figure that out, the two inside numbers need to be equal. So we check that. Let's check. Does 2 equal 2? Yes. So we know we can multiply, so we can do a check. And then the next part of this step is take the two outside numbers, and that's our new dimensions. So then we look at our two outside numbers, and that's the 3 and the 2. So our new dimensions will be a 3 by 2. Now step 2, some of you don't like to do step 2, which if you can do it without it, it's fine, but sometimes it will be really helpful to do it. And that's when we draw our new matrice and then label each spot. So that'll be step 2. So draw new matrice and then label each spot. So we already said it's a 3 by 2. And how do we label them again? Label each spot. So what would my first spot look like? Yep. Row 1, because it's row 1, then column. Row 1, column 2. Row 2, column 1. Row 2, column 2. Row 3, column 1. And row 3, column 2. And like I said, some of you don't like to do this step, but I think it is really helpful. So if you can try to do that, that's great. And then what would step 4 be? Or step 3? Yep, do the multiplication. And then when we multiply, we do like the first number in the row times the first number in the column, and then you add them. So I'm just down here, I'm going to say like multiply and add, just to remind you. So let's find R1, C1, row 1, column 1. So row 1, column 1. First number in the row times the first number in the column.
And the second number in the row times the second number in the column.
Yep, so then our second number in the row times the second number in the column. So 3 times -2. -3. I missed that right there. Okay, so 4 times -1 is -4, plus -3 times -2 is 6. So row 1, column 1 is actually 2. Yes, you may. If you need to move, did you get it? Yeah. Okay. And then let's do one more, and then you can find the other 4 on your own. So let's find row 1, column 2. So here's row 1. Remember, our first number is always the row, and then column 2. So that looks like 4 times 2 plus, that's a -3, isn't it? -3 times 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus -3 times 1 is -3. 8 plus -3 is 5. So now find the other 4. find these four. I'm just going to fill these in. So you should have gotten -5, 4, 8, and -1. And then we're going to do a few problems before we're going to take just a mini quiz today on Schoology. So this is one we haven't really talked about, and I want to talk about how we would solve it. So if we had 0, -4, and 2 multiplied by 2, -1, and 3, and then it's set equal to something like 2x plus 6, how do we, and the question says to find x.
So wouldn't you just do a log and then find what you need?
Yep, so we just do our multiplication.
So do the log and then
Do the what?
oh my god, matrix.
So we're going to multiply. So 0 times -2
0.
plus -4 times -1 plus 2 times 3. And that's still equal to this matrix here. So we're just still doing our multiplication. 0 times 2 is 0, plus -4 times -1 is 4, and then 2 times 3 is 6. Still equal to 2x plus 6. 4 plus 6 is 10. And then now this is just an equation, so we need to solve for x. To get rid of 6, we minus 6. And to get rid of the 2, we divide by 2. So we get x equals 2. And then we found x. That's how we found x. We're going to do one more. Any questions on that? So you just multiply, and then it comes out to be an equation that you can solve. Okay, so one more I want to talk about. Let's say we have 8, -2, 4 times -2, 3, and 4. So this is a 3 by 1, and this is a 1 by 3. So our new matrix is a 3 by 3. So what if the problem asks you to find this number? But how? Like, how do I know what numbers I'm going to use? Yep, so this is where the labeling comes in. So we said this is row 2 in column 1, right? Because we're second row, first column. So then we go over here. Row 2 is there, so -2 times column 1, -2. So the answer is 4. What if it was this one? Sorry, not that one, this one. Row 3, column 3, 16. No questions?